This is a periodic table defined by a company called ZippyOPS. Okay. So they have listed down all the majority DevOps tools, okay, which are used on it, and they have differentiated them based on the license model, how they are being utilized. Like for example, if you see OS means open source, FR means free. Okay. Okay. Let me just give a brief. Okay. Open source is something you will get the application source code and you are open to modify the application source code and use it. Okay. Free is something you can use the product for free, but you will not get the source code. Okay. You cannot, you can use the complete product for free, but you will not get the source code. You will not be able to modify the content or the functionality of the application. And next is called as the freemium. So freemium is something like for free, you will get limited resources. A typical example will be GitHub. In GitHub, if you try to get your account, you can keep one private repository. If you want more than one private repository, you need to pay and buy it, or otherwise you have to keep all the other as a public repository. Okay, so this is the difference between the free and freemium. Free is completely you can use the product. Freemium is some of the functionality they will give it for free, and for the rest of the functionality you have to pay for them. Okay, and next is the paid and the enterprise. So paid and enterprise are something like paid will be like you will pay for the application on the whole. There is no license limitation or anything. Let's say I'm like they will give us a static price. Let's say $10,000 to use the product. Like you can use it on any number of things. And next is the enterprise license, where based on the number of usage or number of the account, they are going to charge you for that. That's called as the enterprise. Okay, so these are all the various models, and they have listed down the tools which are used for SCM, that's called source control management system, and this is for CI. CI is for continuous integration. They have listed all the tools which are in the CI. And next is the deployment. So what are all the deployment tools available? And next is the cloud providers. And next is the monitoring tools which are being used. And next is the database management. And next is the repo management. Okay. And next is the config/provisioning. So what are all the configuration management and provisioning tools are available? And next is the release management tool. And next is the logging solutions. Is there any log monitoring solution? And next is the build automation tool, testing tool, containerization tool, and collaboration tool, and some of the security tools they have listed down. Okay, so let's quickly go through the major tools which we are using, and in the tool we are going to concentrate on one particular list. Okay, so first let me start with the SCM. So the majority of the tool in SCM is called GitHub, Git, Bitbucket, GitLab, SVN, okay, and then hierarchical, and then CW. Okay, so these are all the major tools. If you see, the top three is like Git related products like GitHub, Git, Bitbucket, GitLab. These are the major tools. Here we are going to use GitHub as our source control management tool in our training curriculum, and we'll be using the Git client, and we will configure how to communicate to the Git, how to pull and push the codes, and all those things we are going to see here. And the next area we are going to talk about the continuous integration. So in continuous integration, there are multiple tools which is available in both open source and the enterprise model. And some of the tools are available in both open source and enterprise model. And some of the tools are available only in the enterprise scenario. Like for example, Jenkins is an open source tool, and this is available in both open source and enterprise. I will show you a difference between what is the difference between open source and enterprise while going deep dive into Jenkins. And in our curriculum, we are going to concentrate on the Jenkins part of it. Okay. And next is the Bamboo. Bamboo is a paid tool. Like you can buy a Bamboo license and you can use it. And next we have Travis. Travis is also open source. Okay. And then you have the Circle CI, and in the Microsoft world, Previously it is called as VSTS. Okay, now it is called as a Azure DevOps. So now they have it as a hosted platform only. So they have the Azure DevOps is the new name for it. So like that, there are lots of other tools, but the majority are very popular are Jenkins, Bamboo, Travis, Circle CI, and then Azure DevOps. So here we are going to concentrate on the Jenkins in our curriculum. Okay. And next is the deployment tool. So in the deployment tool, there are lots of things like Julu Rundeck. Rundeck is one of the uh, very famous deployment tool, or rapid deploy, code deploy. So these are all the major tools which are used in deployment. In deployment, we are going to use shell script as our majority of scenario. We'll use shell script as our deployment tool. Okay. And then in the cloud, the majority you guys might be aware of like AWS, Azure and GCP and Rackspace, OpenStack. So these are all the cloud platforms available. Okay. So we are going to concentrate on AWS. We'll give a brief about the AWS in our curriculum. And next is the monitoring solution. In monitoring, we have the New Relic, Dynatrace, Nagios, Zabbix. So these are all the majorly like application and infrastructure monitoring tool. And we have log monitoring tools like Splunk, okay, Sumo Logic, Logstash. These are all the typical log monitoring tool where the logs will be collected and put on a centralized area. And from there, you can create your own dashboards and you can create alerts and things. So that is what is the log monitoring solution. And next in the release management, we have tools like Urban Code Release, BMC, HP. So these are all the couple of release management tools. We are not going to concentrate much on the release management tool. And next is the config and provisioning. So for migrating the configuration or to automatically provision the infrastructure, there are tools like Chef, Puppet, Ansible, Salt, okay, and then Terraform. So we are going to concentrate on the Ansible here, okay, how it can automatically manage the configuration of it. And next is the repo management. Okay, so repo management is something like you build the binary file, and that binary file you need to keep it on a centralized area so that you can maintain versioning on the binary file build, and you will be using some libraries within your code, right? So you can have a third-party library you want to integrate with the code. So that is where this repo management comes into picture, where we will be having tools like Docker Hub for storing our Docker containers. And in the binary files, there is a tool called Artifactory that's called JFrog. JFrog Artifactory. We will see about the JFrog Artifactory in pushing and pulling the binary files. At the same time, we can have the Docker Hub for pushing and pulling the containers. Okay. We are going to concentrate on these two, okay, in our curriculum. And next is the database management part. So in database management, I need to manage the database deployment, those things. So the very famous tools are called Liquibase and other tools. So this is the area where you can see more of a database related components in this area. So we are not going to concentrate much on the database here. And next in the security part, I told about the static application testing tool, dynamic application testing tool. Those things are there, right? So the typical example will be SonarQube, check marks. So those kind of tools will be there. And next is the collaboration tool. So collaboration tools are like which will help people in collaborating with each other. They can create the task and things. So a typical example will be Jira, TFS, okay, Trello. So these are all the tools. And TFS is now called as Azure DevOps. As the name changed, they are giving it as a single solution so that you can say it. And next is the containerization. So the majority of the containerization platform is called your Docker. So there are other container platforms also available like Mesos, okay, and other things. And container management, there are tools like Kubernetes, Docker Swarm, or Nomad, okay. So like the tools are available, but we are going to concentrate on Docker and Kubernetes on this area in the containerization part. And in testing, We have lots of tools like Selenium, Cucumber, and other things. We will see an example of a Selenium test case execution in our curriculum. And then next is the build automation tool, where we have Ant, Maven, and other tools. So in our curriculum, we will include Maven. So using Maven, how to build a code and how to run the unit test cases and all those things, we will see it there. Okay. So this is a good area to start with. You can just search this Zebia Labs. There you can see lots of other tools are available. So this is the first version of the periodic table which has been defined. So where they have related it to the chemistry periodic table, and they have listed down all the majority of the DevOps tools which are being used in the market. And now if you see that the list is very much huge, because there are lots of open source community coming in and giving their knowledge on building this DevOps stack.